I don't gotta change the world, I just got to be myself. I don't count dollar signs, spread love and I share the wealth. I've been overthinking all my life. No more wasting all my precious time. I feel alive, I feel alive, feeling like I'm 10 feet tall. I feel alive, I feel alive, feeling like I
Well, the thing is too is mosquitoes, which are like they suck, but the no-see-ums, bro. The no-see-ums are bad here.
What are those?
I don't know. We just call them no-see-ums because like we can't see them, but we're getting bit.
Duh. I was like thinking
You're
that.
like, what?
I was thinking that was the actual name. I was like, I've literally never
No,
heard
it
of that.
probably has like some like dinosaur name. You're like, oh, they're bad here. Like you won't even see them flying, but you can. They're like a little black thing. You see them when they're on your legs. Or
so I think it's gnats.
Okay.
So because gnats do bite. And so, but we always just think of them as just pesky things that fly around your ear, but they actually do
probably
bite.
are gnats.
So
they look like a gnat. I mean, they're tiny like a gnat and they're black.
Yep. And they have like the wings that span out and everything. Yeah. I think they're gnats because I get those a lot too. I think that's really more what bites me because, you know, with mosquito bites, they itch for a couple days.
Yeah.
These ones, they're gone within like less than 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I think they come out. I don't think they come out when there's a certain temperature.
Right.
I think they come out when you're sweating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they're probably just, I don't know if they're attracted to like the body wash, the spray, or just.
Well, and see, that's
sweat.
what I've wondered because I'm like, man, I drink so much fucking water and all I eat is meat. So maybe that's what they're going on is because Drew will say like, there's sometimes that you just, you know, you ooze meat because that's all I eat for my workouts.
That's
and
honestly
everything.
good, dude. I had really bad like acid reflux.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten worse progressively as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And the few times that I've like went out to have like a steak dinner or cooked steaks here, or just realized like, oh man, like 80% of that meal was like meat, you know, for whatever reason, I've always felt better.
I never have acid reflux anymore. I used to have it bad. Like I get the big ass ones. Oh fuck yeah. The big ass Tums things. And I go through those like candy. I'd every night as I'm going to bed, I'd take 5 or 6 of them.
Dude, I do now. I started doing that a couple months ago and I feel like pretty bad about it because I'm pretty like anti
it's not good for you at all.
Taking any kind of medication as much as possible. You know, even for a headache, I'm like, let me just try to like shrink, you know,
ride it out.
And then like after like 6 hours, I'm like, all right, I'll take one Advil. And it's like 200 milligrams. So it's like nothing.
Yeah.
People are like, you need to take 2 or 3. We'll see. You know?
Yeah, no, Tums actually aren't good for you because they
create like a lining or something in there.
Yeah, you can actually get a kidney stone from it. So yeah, the more you take, like there's chances that'll happen.
You saying that, I'm never taking it again. That's literally the worst, dude.
Well, and then you deal with like the acid reflux. Well, but literally since I changed my entire diet to not as many carbs and definitely not, even though I do a lot of grease with because I don't really drain my meat and everything.
You got somebody for that.
That was good. But you know, I don't get the grease out of it and everything. And it just ends up making me feel so much better. I don't have acid reflux though. Wendy's, bro. So I used to fuck with Wendy's every day, and I'd always have acid reflux. We went to Daytona a couple weeks ago, and there was only Wendy's open. So it's like, fuck it, I'll just use this as my cheat meal for the week. That trusty sucks. And so I did it. 10 minutes into eating it, heartburn.
Really?
Immediately.
Yeah, sometimes it happens quick. Dude, sometimes it'll happen. It'll happen when I haven't ate all day and I'm really hungry.
Right.
And then I take like that first bite of food. It doesn't even matter what it is. It could be something like completely healthy. It could be a bite of salad, but just like my stomach is just like, we're ready. We're ready to reflux here. But it hurts so bad, dude.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can get through it when I'm like, just going through your day.
Right.
But when you try to sleep, that's
it's the worst.
dude.
Yeah.
I have to almost like sleep like propped up on a pillow or like upright. Or
it's terrible. And then I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. And I literally I'd sit up like this and then just hope to God that it would go away. The only thing that I've come to find out that you can do, or at least it's worked for me, I'll go and take 2 spoonfuls of peanut butter, because then it coats the entire esophagus, because especially when you're sleeping, that's where it's sitting. It's the
it's
esophagus,
just literally sitting here,
and it's just burning.
Feels like a volcano, dude.
Yeah, So I'll take the peanut butter, and I'll just take a couple of spoonfuls of that.
You're like, I can't breathe at all, but it works.
But my esophagus is not burning to hell.
That's funny. No, yeah, that's it's crazy because I even had that thought because I love Uncrustables,
right?
And I like,
God, I haven't had one of those in forever.
Dude, I'll give you one after this. They're so good.
I can't have it.
Oh,
I wish I could.
But the peanut butter is good, but the jelly's not good. You know, like almost every fruit has like some level of acid in it. It feels like. I know there's some that don't, that are a little bit more mild, but even like a banana. You know, like a banana, you wouldn't think of like very acidic,
right?
You know,
you think of it very mellow.
Yeah, you think of it bland almost, and you would think it would cut the acid. You know, and a strawberry banana smoothie, although it tastes great, will crush you. Crush you. If acid.
So good.
Wait, so what is your diet that you're on right now?
So it just changed a little bit today.
Okay.
Are we live? Are we airing right now?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, hey.
I like to do it this way so it's more natural when we just get into it.
I didn't even realize. I was like, man, we could have saved this for the podcast.
Yeah. No, we're 7 minutes in.
Oh, all right.
I do it this way so it's more natural, you know?
Yeah.
Because if not, it's just like, all right,
we're ready.
What did you do today?
My diet, because I'm doing a bodybuilding show in March.
Okay.
And so right now, my diet just changed as on the way over here. My coach calls me. He's like, "Yeah, so we're gonna lean you out a little bit faster. I like the results from this past week, but we're gonna start leaning you out." I'm like, "Okay, so what's that mean?" He's like, "Go ahead and look at it." So I'm looking at it. It's the beginning meals are there's a lot more into it, but like the big portions, I have ground turkey, and that's about 50 grams that I get to eat.
Do you like turkey? I do. Okay.
Yeah, I'd much rather that than chicken. Like
really?
I've tried the ground chicken.
I feel like ground anything bird is just a very birdy taste.
Oh, see, I just scarf down, and honestly, because every taste to me is like this is a super flavorful right now, but
not too much. That's why it's perfect.
Too much. No, it's just like it's one of those things of that I don't have taste anymore because everything is just so bland.
That's funny.
So yeah, I do ground turkey, very little of that with some vegetables, and I do that twice in the morning time, and then the next 3 meals after that is ground beef, and a little bit of rice. So I just went from 2,300 calories a day to 1,800.
Jeez.
So that's gonna suck.
that's like basically a whole meal, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, a healthy meal.
Yeah. But it'll lean me out significantly.
Is there like a weight target, or is it just lean from like aesthetically almost? Yeah,
no real weight target. But it's just get lean and get big.
Yeah.
So that's
like,
really,
I'm in.
that's really it.
He's like, we're gonna get you lean and big. You're like, say less.
And that's the thing, because like every week I have to do a check-in.
Yeah.
And him and his business partner, they have this whole app. It's called like Be Sick Fitness and TNT Fitness. And dude, I have to put in every meal that I do, and which it's already on there. I have to just basically say complete.
Click on it, yeah.
And then I have to say what my weight is every morning, what I'm working out, what's my goal. And at first, like when I first started, I was like, my goal is to, I don't know, get good looking. I don't know.
Be better.
And he's like, no, you're looking to get lean and get big. And because at first I was like, oh, so should I change it to like getting skinny? He's like, we don't use that fucking word. And I was like, well, okay then.
All right. Sorry, coach.
So it's get lean, get big. So whatever the end results are by March time.
Oh, March. So you got like a nice, like basically a 6-month window here.
Yeah. So and I started this full time back in the beginning of July was when I really went for start. I'd already been doing fitness and doing his meal plan, but actually trying to do for a show. That's when July.
You think it's easier now that you have a show as kind of your end goal, so to speak, than before? I mean, I know you're already a fitness guy, so it's already part of kind of your acumen and kind of your lifestyle. But do you think it's easier to be like just more regimented or more strict with or more disciplined, I guess, with your diet?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Or is it the same, I guess? If you're like,
I probably would, if I wasn't doing a show, there'd be quite a few times that I'd be like, I'll work out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the next time I work out is a week from then.
Yeah.
So
that's most people. Cause I feel like sometimes it's the laziness for that day of working out. But I feel like sometimes it's the lack of convenience to stay disciplined with your diet.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to a birthday party or it's like, let's go to this baseball game. Like, okay, that sounds good. And you're like, oh, I got to plan my meals before I go after.
Right.
Everyone's stopping and grabbing a hot dog. I can't do that, whatever the case is.
Well, and that's the biggest thing too. If I didn't do meal prepping every week, I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
that's impossible to stay disciplined.
Yeah. I like, because the time it takes for you to actually, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult. Like, oh, just ground up some meat and call it a day.
A few hour ordeal.
Yeah. That's like, I'm sitting in the kitchen doing, just pounds upon pounds of meat in the entire house. No, like that's the thing. I'm like, this doesn't even look appealing, but that's not what it's for. It's not to look appealing. It's for fuel. That's it. And so if I didn't have the structure of going for the bodybuilding show, I definitely wouldn't be as leaned out as I already am. I'd be eating like crap. And then I'd just be like, oh, I'll do a little bit of cardio. And you're not gonna do anything if you're already eating like crap.
Right.
If you're eating like an asshole, you're gonna look like an asshole.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to.
I'm not even huge into the fitness lifestyle, so to speak. I mean, I'm a pretty active guy, but I know it's a whole different level of, really being a part of that lifestyle. And everyone says that diet's 80% of it.
Yeah.
So it has to be, obviously some truth to that.
Yeah. People assume that like, oh, I'll go to the gym and that's the main part. It's really not. Like your diet, your water, and your sleep are the three biggest parts of it.
Well, you're doing those things more than you'd work out anyways.
Right.
Even if you get a 2-hour work in a day, which is probably double what most people do on their best day. If they even go there, that's great. If they spend an hour there, even better. Very few people spend 2 hours at the gym.
Correct.
But you're eating meals 3 times a day minimally. You're in theory drinking water or drinking something all day.
Right.
So.
Well, and it's like, it comes down to, and it seems so logical when you actually hear someone say it or think about it.
Sure.
Like when you go to the gym, what are you doing? You're breaking down the muscle fibers.
Right.
So you're not actually building muscle. You're breaking it down.
Yeah.
What's building it? Your sleep, your water, and your food. Those are the three things. So those are your three main things that you need to focus on if you can't get a workout in. Focus on those three. So that's what I've kind of taken into account. Even on days that like, I'm like, I can't work out today. I'm super busy, but I know I can get my meals and my water intake in.
Right.
As long as I hit those, then I'm solid.
Yeah. 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's why it's funny that you're saying people, everyone, when you go into the gym, you're breaking down your muscle fibers, but then everyone does like the post gym pic.
Yeah.
So in theory, you're showing us a pic of when your muscles are like broken.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you're like, I'm feeling good. Like I'm on the right track.
Yep. Yeah. On Saturday, I did a workout with my coach and we did quads, and 4 times that night I fell while just walking around the house. I had a full plate of food and I'm just walking and I just drop and food goes everywhere. And I can't get up at all. Like it's not like oh damn, that sucks, let me just get back up. No, I was struggling. I was like, give me a life alert because I need one of those.
That is kind of funny. Yeah, that's the what is it called? Foreshadowing of what it's going to be in 30 years. You know, just go to the gym, do legs like 2 times a week.
Yep.
That's funny. So let's talk a little bit about the barbershop a little bit. I was trying to think like exactly what month that we met, you know, but I think I want to say, because I moved back to St. Pete in October of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say like it couldn't have been past November.
Yeah, I think I want to say it was in November because I had left the other barbershop
after Christmas, or was it
after Christmas? Yeah, like 3 weeks after Christmas.
Yeah. I vaguely remember, and I could be wrong here, but I vaguely remember like a skeleton Santa Claus. And so that's why I was like, it had to have been before Christmas. You guys
yep, that was true. Yeah, I think you started because you would come to me, I want to say 2 or 3 times before.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. That's the next thing I was trying to figure out. I was like, how many times? And it had to have been at least, you know, a handful of times.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because you were like, I remember the first time you came, you're like, I'm someone that gets my haircut every 2 weeks. And then the next time I saw you was like 3 or 4 weeks after that.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
yeah, I was like traveling, holidays. Yeah, I do remember that. It was also funny, without getting too detailed, it was funny because I think when you had texted me to tell me that you were going to be at a different place, it was a day after I had called in to book something with you. And then the person was like walking around like while you were unavailable. And they were like, oh, well, we can just, you know, set you up with so-and-so. And I was like, oh, let me just get back to you about that. You know, because I was like, let me just, you know, I do something, you know, I was like.
Yeah, and I text you, right?
You did like text me, but it, you know, I think I didn't like get off the phone and then text you. I was, it was just like on my list of things to do. But
because I remember I was like, there's so many clients that I didn't have their info.
Oh yeah.
So, because I was locked out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Which is so like, honestly, I get it. I kind of get it. I can understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. I understand it.
Yep.
You know, like it doesn't surprise me, especially if somebody's upset.
I understand it from as a business owner. I understand it. Doesn't mean I follow that. But I can understand it from I can understand it from a human side, not really the business side. Because I was going to say, like, I can understand a human getting emotional about something. And reacting that way. But from a business standpoint, I'm like, you're saving everyone's time because those clients are going to call in and say, hey, you know, what's up with so-and-so? They're available. And you got to give them the whole walk around every time. Yeah.
And then if you don't give them the same spiel, then it just doesn't look good on your end. You know, so just like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hell, I fired someone back in May and I did not have to let any of her clients know where she went off to or anything. But I'm not that kind of guy, like, because I don't own the clients. Anyways.
And you know, again, that's why I was saying it's like a character. It's like a human thing at the end of the day. It's like, what kind of character are you?
Right.
And, so when I met you November 2021, how long at that point were you doing hair or being a barber?
So I graduated April of 2020 from Paul Mitchell to school.
Okay.
And so
like a year and a half, like 18 months basically.
Yeah. So
and right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. My last couple classes were on Zoom. And fortunately, I didn't need to do anything at that point. It was just having hours that I had to complete.
That's still kind of like weird, like a cosmetology barber school doing it over.
It was very strange because there was a lot of the people that were in the class that they needed to cut people's hair and everything, and they couldn't. And I get it. I mean, we were all shut down. Fortunately, you know, for Florida, we were able to open back up. So go to Santes. That's my thought. But
I think everyone would have looked at Florida a lot differently if we had to close down, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
That's honestly what's helped the Tampa St. Pete market thrive. Because, you know, Tampa St. Pete's, or like just the you know, not just the cities, but just like the cities surrounding it as well.
Yeah.
It's probably, I've always said personally, it's the best city in the state of Florida because it's the best midpoint in the state.
Yeah.
Get to Orlando quick, you can get to Fort Myers if you need to. Miami's 4 hours away. Like, it's not horrible.
It's not bad.
Get across the state in 3.5 hours. But the cost of living has always been relatively like reasonable. You know, it's like, okay, St. Pete's a little expensive. Well, maybe you can go look in Seminole or Clearwater or like Ruskin or like Palmetto, you know? And so.
And if you can't afford those, go to Child's Park.
Go Child's Park. Exactly. Without the child. But okay. So 18 months, which is pretty, which is why I feel like, I think I knew I think I had like 2 years in my head. So it was close, but I mean, I feel like that makes the story even more impressive.
Right.
Because, you know, in short, after 18 months, after working at that shop for a little bit, you're like, I'm going to start my own thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, it seemed, obviously we'll get into it, but it's, you know, that's obviously easier said than done.
Right.
And so from the time you said, okay, I'm going to start my own business, walk like the first 90 days of that, were you like, okay, this is a mistake? Did you have any reservations, or was it always like, let's just find a solution to this next problem?
So
because you had the client base, like I think you probably had some confidence. Okay, even for easy conversation, I had 30 clients. I feel pretty confident I'm going to retain minimally half of them. Right, probably 80% or more, but minimally half. And then from there, you're probably back in the napkin. Okay, if I charge this much per haircut, I can retain 50% of my clients. Right. You know, this bills will be, you know, I'm assuming you're probably like, okay, like I can, you know, do this, but
yeah. So the night that, to get to the moment that I knew I had to
make a decision.
I had to make a decision. Because, you know, I could have gone one of two ways. I could, or I guess three ways in general. Yeah, I could have completely got out of the business.
Yeah, sure. You weren't in it for that long.
Yeah, so I could have been like, okay, COVID happened. This is not what I want to do. Right. Boom. So I could have done that, but that wasn't an option to me. Yeah. So the only other two options was find another shop that is around the area or make one myself. Sure. Now, I know enough about the owners of all the shops around the area that I just wasn't too keen on. So,
which also, not to cut you off, but I feel like that's like an important note, because most people that are trying to start something and they know other people that have done it, that's going to be their first call. Right. But in your situation, it's like so competitive that even if there was no bad blood, not saying that there is, but even if there was no bad blood, they're like, I can't help you put me out of business right now.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's always been a thing that barbers are very competitive towards other barbers, other barber shops. I've been trying to change the dynamic of that as much as I can. Because there's enough haircuts for everyone. Sure. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of people moving here on a monthly basis to the max. So if that's going to be the case, then why am I trying to be stingy and be an asshole about, you know, helping someone else out, and vice versa. Right. But, yeah, I knew the owners enough, knew about them enough that I was like, I don't want to work for any of them. So, the best next thing was, okay, how do I go about opening a shop? Yeah. And, you know, one of my close friends, he owns a brand called Iron and Ink Fitness. You're wearing one of their shirts right now.
Let's go.
So, you know, he had moved down, about a year prior to that from Minnesota. Okay. He's done all like e-commerce for his apparel company. Yeah. And him and I had kind of talked just here and there about, possibly opening up a place together. And it would be kind of cool to do all these like all in one kind of shop, for style and fitness and hair, all that stuff. And so the night that I found out that I no longer worked at that shop anymore, I was not even remotely worried. I looked at the text message. It was a text message that I got told that I no longer work there. But when I looked at that, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulder. Yeah. And I was like, cool. All right. Yeah. So the next thing to do is to figure out what I'm going to do. And so that was at 2:30 in the morning. So from 2:30 in the morning till about 7:30 in the morning, I was going back and forth of what's the best way to do this. I immediately started looking at property, just to see
rent spaces.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Just to kind of see like what was there.
Right. Which is proactive.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my adrenaline was running so much, there was no going back to sleep anyway.
Yeah. You're like, I got to figure this out.
So yeah, by 8:00, I made a video on my Instagram because again, I was locked out of the system.
Right. Just to like let clients know.
Yeah. I can't. Clients.
I'm trying to think. Did I see? I think I might have saw the text first, but I was just trying to think if I had saw the text first or if I had saw that
or the video. Yeah. Because we were pretty actively talking about stuff. At that point. So yeah, by 8:00, I made a video of the fact that I was no longer at that shop, and I didn't really know what I was going to do yet because I can't just go straight to another place, no matter what.
Yeah, even if you found the perfect spot, I mean, there's so many logistics behind that.
Yeah, I got to go through all the paperwork, and I got to transfer all my stuff, and so there's so much to it. Yeah. But that's when I actually had 2 of my clients reach out to me and say, hey, if you want to start your own shop, then, and I didn't ask them. They text me and they said, if you want to start your own shop, I'll give you some money to make it work. And which to me, that speaks
I was just
large amount of volume.
That's a huge indictment because, I mean, just that is. I mean, it's for somebody to come to you and say, hey, I want to invest in you or what you're doing. Clearly at that point, you've already built up a brand,
right?
To, which is, yourself and, things you've been able to do and how you treat people. And, you know how it is. You can tell in a heartbeat, you can have a good hunch about something, and so I think they're like, this is a no brainer. Yeah.
It was cool. Like one of them I had known for a couple years because I had worked with him in the car business. And he definitely helped me out significantly starting that shop up. And the other one, he was a client that I had for probably 4 or 5 months. And
I was gonna say, you weren't cutting for more than 18 months. So.
Yeah, I had him for 4 or 5 months, and I didn't even really need to cut his hair. He buzzes his head. Yeah, and he would come in every week, but he originally found me. Side story, he found me when I was sitting outside of the old shop. Okay, and he was walking by with his daughter who had just gotten into USF, and he's like, man, this is a cool looking shop. Do you work here? And I was like, I do. Hold on, let me grab you my card. So I ran over, got my card, and he had told me later on, he's like, when I saw you run in there to get a card, I was like, that's who I'm going to get my haircuts by for now on. Yeah. Fuck yeah. And so he started coming to me every week. So then when he texts me and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you some money. No, I don't want any of it back. I just want to help you out. And in my eyes, like, I can't do that. I have to eventually pay him back.
Give him some kind of value back.
Yeah, because that's just, it feels weird to me.
You don't have to, the feeling, I mean, the way that we're built, the feeling of owing somebody something is, it's even harder to sleep at night. And give me acid reflux.
Well, and it's funny because like, he's very wealthy. But in my eyes, I don't care how wealthy someone is.
It's the principles.
It's their money.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They didn't have to give it to me. So I need to show some kind of appreciation back.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I asked him, I was like, why are you doing this? I mean, we don't even really know each other. And at this point, he'd actually already moved back to Orlando.
Oh, really? So he wasn't even local. He wasn't potentially going to get cuts anymore.
3 or so months prior to that, he had moved back to Orlando to help his father out. He was ending his transition from the human world to the spirit world. Okay. To say it lightly.
I don't know what transition we were talking about here.
I didn't even think about that.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. So he's dead. Let's just say that he's just dead. Right. So yeah, I had asked him, and he's like, because I feel like you're the type of person who has ambition to grow your brand, your business, and I can see a lot more barbershops coming from you wherever you go. And I was like, wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
For someone to believe in me like that, who at this point was not going to be coming back to get a haircut by me.
Sure.
He could have just written me off like he had never known me.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy, and
people want to help people that are helping themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So that was at, like I said, that was at like 8:00 in the morning. I posted that video. So sometime by 9:00, I had 2 investors. Then I had a third person who was a client, and she was like, oh yeah, you can use my studio for the time being, however long you need. It's downtown, just use it. So I did. Yeah. So within 2.5, 3 days from the time that I was fired, I had an entire setup. I bought everything I needed, like a new station, everything. Hell, I even bought a refrigerator so that way clients could have beverages. And so when the first couple people came in, they were like, wow, I didn't think you were going to be cutting this fast. I thought I was going to have to get cut from your garage. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Which is crazy because a lot of people, when push comes to shove, they probably would have done that or did house calls. And I know, whether it's frowned upon or not, by the DBPR and all licensing, people were doing that during COVID too, obviously, because there's bills that need to be paid and it just is what it is. Yeah. But
it did cross my mind. I was like, crap, am I going to have to do this?
Because it's so simple. I mean, it's at that point, it's like an ethical thing per se from a licensure perspective. But outside of that, it's like, I mean, it's like living at home with your parents, right? It's like I could just cut at home for 3 months and then use my chair, my chair fees to go get a lease somewhere and
save a lot of money.
But you did it the right way through and through. So
and that's when so that was at the end of January. I think I had you look over the paperwork for the lease agreement on
the new spot,
the place that,
or is it
no, that's for the spot we're in now. So that's when I had you look over the lease agreement and pretty basic. And so went for it. And I actually did a pretty risky thing with going to that location, not because it was too much money or anything like that, but because it was just starting to get built up over there. I mean, you know that.
Absolutely.
But the owner of the entire complex, he had put over $1 million worth of renovations into this place that were currently being done when we signed the lease. So to me, I think, okay, well, if he's spending that much money, there's a reason. He's not just doing it and to get the same amount of money that he's always been making. So I knew that that he was going to be, he's thinking of it in the long scheme of things. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll get it in while it's cheap, build out, and then let this place start building up throughout the area. And it's continued to,
definitely
to
has.
grow.
And you're right. I mean, you're pretty close to being on the street, like street view. I mean, pretty much. And spa manufacturer's right next door. And everyone's making trips to go to that place. So I think, like you said, you got to just be long-term when you think about these things. And clearly all the steps that you made had that in mind. And just betting on yourself, dude. I feel like, even for me, that's why I love surrounding myself with people like you, because it's a mirror to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, you can still have a high level of confidence, a high level of, a high drive, a willingness to be great, whatever that looks like. And that changes daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. But, just every step of the way, you bet on yourself and you did it the right way. You didn't cut corners. And I think it worked out perfect, dude. I think that the old shop, it did have a cool look to it. It wasn't like it wasn't a cool look. But I think what you've done with this shop, it puts that one in a different light. Well, it's still a cool shop, but I just think that like what you've done with the shop, it's more modern, but it's authentically you. And it looks like, like those old cartoons where like you'd go into like the cartoon's like head or their brain and you can see what they're thinking. Like, that's what I feel like when you go into that shop, like that's just you. It's like, this is the merch that he would wear, like, you know, this is like the vibe, you know, this is like, you know, just everything about it, you know, it's just, it was well thought out. And you put so much work into doing the build out yourself, you know, a lot of it yourself. I mean,
yeah, it was actually,
that's a lot.
So to kind of backtrack or kind of be on track. So when I did sign the lease over or sign the lease, it was to collab with Iron and Ink.
Right.
They would have one portion of the shop. I would have the other portion. Two separate businesses collabing together as friends and everything. And it's really worked out significantly for both parties. Yeah, you know, when we got the place, it had 4 walls, white and
generic retail,
like carpet on the floor, and it was like, you know, the typical commercial, very low plush type of carpet. And so ripping all those out and then glue under there, and I'm thinking, all right, how the hell are we gonna get this off? Took some time with that, and so the build out itself, it was just me and my dad doing it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I acid washed all the floors, and we painted everything from top to bottom. We built out different walls, just partition walls. We built cabinets, things like that, to make it look really
it's night and day. It does not look, I mean, has a landlord ever been in since it's been finished?
Oh yeah.
He's probably like, what the heck?
It's crazy. When he first walked in, he was like, holy shit, I never thought that this would ever look like this. And we have a lot of people that will walk in and they're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this kind of look for this kind of area.
Yeah.
And so, which that's
okay.
That's a great thing. I'll take that.
Yeah.
You know, because it means that what they're seeing is more high class than what they were.
Well, it's a pleasant surprise. It's not like, oh, I thought, you know.
Right.
And sometimes when you walk into a barbershop, you're like, oh, this was not like Google.
Yeah, it's very, like, you got ripped up chairs, white walls. It's just dirty, very plain Jane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what a lot of people expect. And throughout the last couple of years, you're really starting to see barbershops change to being more of a theme. On things, which is super cool.
It is cool.
You know, from rocker themes to vintage cowboy style themes. It's awesome. Yeah. So I actually I was all for this barbershop and thinking, yeah, this is gonna succeed. Nothing's gonna stop me, because meanwhile, while this entire build out's going, I was working throughout the entire day
at the other place for a little bit, right? Until you could even open it up.
Yep. So for 6 months, 5 months, 5.5 months, I was at the little studio just cutting out of there. And then I would go straight over to the other shop afterwards, and I'd go and help out as much as I could with my dad for, you know, up until 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Now, my dad definitely did most of it because he was there during the daytimes. But it was really just him and I just getting all this going. And then we opened up June 14th of last year, so 2022. And from June 14th, 2022 till about September 1st, I thought to myself, my life fucking sucks, because this was the worst decision I could have ever made.
Yeah.
Because my clients were in the barber world, more often than not, the slow time is the summertime.
Sure.
And people think that it wouldn't be because, oh, it's hotter, you're going to get cut more. No, people are out of town. People aren't in school, so they're not caring about their hair. Yeah, they don't care. And they're out on the beach, so they're doing the surfer vibe, haircuts and everything. So you lose all your clientele during that time. So I'm thinking, this was the worst decision I could have ever made. I was having I went from having anywhere from 10 to 15 people a day, and people then asking, hey, do you have any open spots? To 1 to 3 people a day.
Jeez.
And paying for my bills, paying for the shop bills.
I got super
oh
tight.
my gosh. Yeah, it was bad.
That's good. That's good to talk about because, although there's a lot of good things trending in the right direction, I mean, that's just part of it. But that's just part of starting your own business. And it's part of obviously just being a barber and the season, the kind of the seasonality of it sometimes. And that's why I always wonder if creating, I think we talked about it before, but creating almost like memberships, because then you could give them, what they would think would be a big discount on the months they already planned to, right? But it's just like a flat fee, right? And that would kind of force them, because if I have memberships, like, I don't want to not go to the gym for 4 months because it's summer, and if it cuts $40, then you're like, okay, well, you get a cut for 25 now if you get this membership.
Correct.
Membership costs $100, but just now that I have that, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go in the middle of July, like when I normally wouldn't,
Yeah, absolutely.
Easier said than done, but I feel like
no, I mean, you're definitely on the right path. I mean, it's having something that makes the person want to come back for any reason, whether it be because they've already spent the money up front and they feel like they have to, or you're giving them something that they like. You give them a shirt and they're like, I want to wear it all the time. Oh, now it's going to remind me I need to go and get a haircut. So that's how I think of it.
Even if you got the little punch cards, like they give it like Smoothie King or like Smoothie or whatever, and even like small things where if you said every 3, you didn't have to make it, because a lot of things are like 10 punches and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be dead by the time I get.
It's like and God, by that time, you're right. It's that could be a year for someone.
For somebody that goes once a month, right? For me, it's like, all right, maybe in 3 months I'll get a prize, but if you made the punches maybe 3 to 5, like half of what it normally is, and then you just said you get a free edge or a free shave. Yeah. Because nobody's going to come in there and not tip, Correct. And again, the whole point is just get them in the shop. And that's why it's so great that Iron and Ink is there as well. Yeah. Because it's another reason why people would just get to the shop. Correct. And sometimes when we're brainstorming other ideas, whether you have a cosmetologist come in there to do, certain things, or, different charity things that we've talked about. Yeah. It's just getting people to the shop. I'm building out a website right now for one of my businesses, and the whole mindset is just get them to the site. Right. Get them to the site. We can do everything. If we can't do it, we'll find the person that can do it. But come to the site first. Come contact us first. Let's talk about it first. So, I don't know. I feel like, you guys are already being creative with how you set up the shop. And I mean, and that was the thing. And so once September of last year hit, I got my first employee. And I can't say enough good things about that guy. He has been willing to help out however I need him to help. So that's been great. Him and I have worked together for over a year now. It's been awesome. I've had a couple of employees come, one go. And so now we have a full staff, which is awesome. That's impressive. And it's still scary, especially because, absolutely. For me to have a full staff at that location, I needed to take a step back. Sure. I was working 6 days a week up until last week. And now the reason I needed to get someone was because I can't grow unless I have time. Well, you got to do some business development. Yeah. And I live an hour away from the shop. So driving there and then coming back, by the time I'm home, it's almost 9 o'clock. Yeah. The first thing I want to do is smoke some weed and then just vibe out for the rest of the night. And so the morning comes real quick. So like, what? So I needed to take a step back, and that's kind of what is at where we're at now for the shop. Kind of like one of my investors had said, I see you opening more shops and everything. Well, now we're a little over a year into it, and my thought is, okay, it's time to start thinking about the next location. Sure. Now that I've established something from ground up, now I have a little bit of an upper hand because I kind of know what to expect a little bit on build outs and things like that. What I could cut costs on versus what I might need to spend more money on. So this is actually my first week of only working 3 days behind the chair. And I got to say, it's helped
immensely just yesterday and today because I've been able to get up and start working on, the new endeavor, which I don't know if I've even told you this.
I don't know.
It's going to be a barbershop, but it's going to be a coffee shop with it.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say for the next barbershop, have you been brainstorming collabs? So it's funny. That's my next question.
Because, I love Iron and Ink, but I don't want that to be
the only thing they associate.
Only thing. Yeah. I want to be able to branch out more.
Coffee is a great idea.
Yeah. Coffee is the second largest commodity in the world. And I had a small, coffee roasting company a couple years back that I used to wholesale to some coffee shops and kava bars and things like that. And so I think I kind of want to get back down to the roots because originally when I've always had an entrepreneur mindset. It's always been in my lifestyle, even as a teenager. And when we lived up in Colorado, I had the entire basement to myself at my parents' house. And so we had a living room, we had a couple rooms and things like that. And I had told my parents, I want to make this look like a coffee shop. And they're like, what? Like a 15-year-old saying I want it to look like a coffee shop. I'm like, like just a very cool, chill spot that all my friends can come and hang out because up in Colorado, that's all we could do was go to coffee shops.
Sure.
And there's tons of them out there, very localized ones. So that's what I did on my free time. Go and have a cup of coffee on a cold day. So I've always kind of had that coffee mindset of wanting to do something, but it's expensive. It's not cheap to get all the supplies and everything. And so now that I have one business and I'm looking into this other one, I'm like, okay, what could mix with a barbershop that I've never actually heard be done, or at least not much.
Again, it's anything that gets somebody to come in. Right. I don't know if there's a better idea than coffee, honestly.
And that's the thing, because, just in simple thoughts, you have a woman or a man come in that they see coffee. So they're like, oh, it's a new coffee shop. Let me go there. They go and grab coffee. They look over and they see behind this glass wall that there's barbers over there. And they're like, oh, I could have my partner come and get a haircut here. Because this would be perfect. We could have like a little breakfast date here and then he can get his haircut. Or she could get their haircut, like anything like that. And then people can work there. I mean, how many people sit at Starbucks for hours on end, using the Wi-Fi, getting more coffee, whatever.
Well, that's what would be like that. I think that's what would set it off. And I don't know what the logistics would be to make it happen. But if you could still have those vibes where you have the barbershop and the coffee shop in the same place, but I don't know if they could have like almost like a see-through glass partitioner. So it's still not the vibe, it's just the quietness. Because that's one thing about Starbucks. It's probably the loudest coffee shop. Low key. Because people are just coming in, out, excited on the phone. If you go to another more like mom and pop local, if you go to like downtown St. Pete or Central and you go to a coffee shop, it's going to be a little bit more quiet and more of like, that hipster, vibe. But also another thing with the barber, if you had, I'm brainstorming here, but
I knew the moment that I started talking about this, I was like, he's going to get on it now.
Well, I'm just thinking like you could have different things, right? So even if you had not just like the Cosmo side of it, but just like maybe nails, petty manicure section. And it was just like a large like glass partition, right? So you could see through, you could see maybe, and only have like 2 barber chairs, 2 or 3. You don't have to, make them 5 or 6, and then have like a couple slots for like, manis and petties, and then have another spot for dog grooming.
Oh,
if you could come in, get a coffee, drop your dog off, and get your cut or nails done. Because for guys, it'd be, likely to get in the cut, but for ladies that get their nails done, pretty frequently, maybe once or twice a month at least sometimes. And then, for these small dogs and, golden retrievers,
smart
that'd be cool.
Idea.
That'd be cool.
I'm going to steal that.
Take it.
No, I mean, that's the beauty of this is there's so many different things that you can add. It's just at this point, it's about the logistics to it, you know, and the location, how big the place is. Because to me, this next one is not going to be mainly a barbershop. It's going to mainly be the coffee, because that's where the money's going to come all throughout the day. The biggest thing is I always see down here that coffee shops close so early. And
they do close early. And
I'm not used to that at all. In Colorado, we stay open till 10, 11 all night. I
mean, that's the only reason, in my opinion, outside of just their brand being so big. That's why Starbucks, I'm not surprised I see Starbucks down here. I'm surprised at how many I see. Right. Because of how many local coffee shops, but it's only because they're open till 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah. That's and that's like, I'm used to that. That's what
same. Up north, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Or west. Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, well, I could have this open from 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, all the way up until 10 o'clock, and have the barbershop running from a certain time to a certain time. That's a lot lower. So then really the main attraction is the coffee
that
shop.
happen to have a barbershop.
Yeah. And
or barber chairs. It's a coffee shop with barber chairs.
Correct. Yep. and you know, you're right. Like my entire plan, one, for health reasons too, but having basically a glass wall. Because what kind of got me on the thought process of, oh, that could maybe work was, so when we went back to, when we went to Hawaii back in November, so when I had gotten my leg piece done, tattoo wise, we were actually just like what I just explained on walking into a coffee shop early in the morning, and we walk in and it's like, oh, cool, this is a cool coffee shop. And you look over and it's like, it's tattoos, like, and it's a glass wall, and people can literally just watch it. And what's cool is the windows can open, so that way once the coffee shop is closed, they can open those windows so people can talk and hear and everything. And I was like, this is the coolest setup I've ever seen. Absolutely. Because it looked very, very clean on both the coffee shop side and the tattoo side. And they both had their own separate music playing, which I thought was super cool, because then if you're not feeling the tattoo vibes, you can still hang out in the coffee shop, no problem. So that's what I kind of want to do for the barbershop is, you know, have the ability to do that, because there is barbershop talk. You get
for sure.
You get
you want to be able to have that conversation without, you know, disturbing other guests on the coffee side. So. Yeah,
because you get to know these clients, so you can BS with them, be a little bit more explicit. I wouldn't really want that for the coffee shop portion, so which would be great to be able to kind of be able to have its own space without having to feel like it's enclosed, and you can still see what's going on.
Well, it's funny because if you go there to get a coffee, you may not get a haircut.
Right.
But if you go there to get a haircut, you're going to get a coffee.
You're going to leave with a coffee in hand or some kind of drink that we offer.
Yeah.
And because, you know, they could be, oh, I got to go to a meeting after this. I'm not going to be able to go and get a bite to eat or my coffee or whatever. So boom, get a coffee, call it a day. I mean, we already offer energy drinks and beers and sodas at the barbershop currently. Why not add some more drinks that I can actually, you know, charge for? And
I mean, like I said, I think it's a genius idea, but I think what makes it even better, and the same thing with the Iron and Ink collab, although again, it Iron and Ink, it's already naturally you, but it was already a brand.
Right.
So it's almost like two people are like, it's almost like you're indirectly promoting Iron and Ink.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. Right. And so even for the coffee shop idea, you can go get a proven brand of coffee. That's a local mom and pop shop that just maybe doesn't have all the cash to expand. And then you say, listen, I could take a little bit of that burden off. They already have the proven coffee that people know the name. And now you have two different, you know, you have your barbershop account on, you know, social media wise, and then their account they already have saying, hey, we have a new location opening up. And you say, hey, we have a new location opening up. Same location. So I think that's a genius idea. Another idea I had for you, because I know you were already thinking about expanding.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a crazy idea. Again, I have the ideas. Everyone has ideas, but execution's the hard part, right?
Is it a male strip club? I'll do it.
Yeah, no, that was my second idea. but nobody's doing this. But I think, all right, a lot of the bigger hotels, okay,
yeah,
the bigger hotels, and by bigger I mean like high, like the nicer 3-star hotels, and then the generic 4-star hotels.
Yep.
Not really 5-star, just nice 3 stars and 4-star hotels. A lot of them have conference space, meeting rooms, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody's doing this, but you can go rent those out for a meeting. You can rent them out for business. You can rent them out for a sales call. You can rent them out for whatever you want to do if it's legal. Why not a couple times a month, if not once a week, would you go in there on a Saturday, maybe not just you, but somebody on your team, and rent out that room so that the hotel can say, hey, we have barbers here all day Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone that's in town for business, for weddings, for birthdays. Because I know anytime people come in town, whether they're coming in town because we're going to go on a cruise or we're going to go to a football game, whatever the case is, a lot of people are always like, hey, do you have a barber I can get? Do you have a barber? You have a barber? And a lot of people go on different apps to try to find local barbers. You know what I'm saying? But I think if you you're already going to, again, like I'm talking about a nicer 3-star or a 4-star at the Trade Winds, or at a Hilton or a Marriott,
right?
And you could say, hey, on Saturday we have Broken Compass here. We have 3 barbers. We have 1 Cosmo, 2 barbers, and
smart.
I mean, nobody's doing it, and I guarantee that again, those things are things that the hotel loves to hang their hat on because they could say we're offering this extra service.
Right.
It would just obviously come down to what they're going to charge for the day. But obviously that would work from a business perspective. And if you ever were trying to tie in some charity, I'm always thinking of how to tie on charity.
Oh, absolutely.
I just think that like literally nobody's doing that right now.
Yeah.
But everyone, they have hundreds of residents there, or or guests rather.
Yeah.
Per night. So especially on the weekends.
No, it's definitely a smart idea. There's so many different ways that you can go about, like you and I have talked about the whole wedding thing. And I've actually emailed a couple
planners and stuff.
And still waiting to hear back from, but like, we've talked about, hey, maybe get a wedding planner to have you as their go-to for when they have men needing haircuts. I mean, it happens all. I just got asked last week by a client of mine who is getting married in Chicago next year. And he's like, hey, can you fly up to Chicago and cut me and my boys and for the wedding? And he's like, I'll obviously pay you for the cuts as well as getting up there. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be sweet. So it does happen. I mean, women have it for
women do it
all the time. They go and get updos and everything right
makeup,
before the wedding. So why are we not getting guys to do that?
Well, that's the thing. They just half of being in business is letting people know you're in business. Right. And it's like, what's the best medium for that?
Yep.
And at the same time, I mean, again, there could be a good idea, right? And then it's like, what's the opportunity cost? Because again, you're like, well, I want to do this over here too. And it's like, you only have 24 hours in a day. And like we've talked about before, you can't really spread yourself too thin.
Nope.
Or else you're not, master of everything, master of none. Right.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I just think that like, just even having these conversations and being open-minded about it. I mean, that's what got you here in the first place. And man, I mean, I think, you could definitely see multiple shops in your future, but I like the idea that, they'll all be a little bit different.
Right.
I think collabing with anything is just, I don't know why people don't collab more.
Oh yeah.
I think that they do situationally or conveniently, and I was going to ask you about that too, since you've been on, it's been a couple years now, just going back to when you said, hey, I'm going to start my own thing. Obviously the shop's been, year and a half or so.
Right.
We're coming up a little bit more than a year, but how's your experience been with friends supporting your business? And secondly, working with friends as a coworker and then as their employer. Right. Because even maybe in the old shop, obviously, you were just, their coworker, but have you received more, equal, less support than you thought you would from friends? Is it like, I know it's kind of like a sensitive issue sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, it is, but
yeah, no, it's a good question. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that I've gotten any negative, not any kind of negative response or thoughts when it comes to the friends department. Tampa Bay is so widespread.
It
So
is.
my friends are very widespread throughout the area.
Sure.
So support in the aspect of coming to get a haircut, pay the money and everything,
or reposting something that you've posted.
Few and far between.
I know obviously Jeff's your boy and he's been great, but like excluding
outside
him,
of that, yeah. Few and far between. And I don't really hold that against anyone.
No.
I'm the opposite, because to me, I think, especially because social media is king.
Yeah,
we all know that. You can't get anywhere in this world.
You're crushing on social media.
Yeah,
I was meaning to tell you that. I'm like, man, he's
and I
out
hated it. I hate it. My ex-girlfriend, she does branding owns her own branding company. And she was like, hey, you need to brand yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. And she's like, you need to get in front of the camera. And I'm like, I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
Now people are so annoyed at me because I'm on the camera.
No, it's good, but they know you're there. And I think there's I don't think it's annoyance, I think it's only annoying if, again, you don't want to, I don't know how, it's only annoying if you don't have substance to what you're talking about. But I think if you're pushing if you're pushing a business or you're pushing a brand or, I know when the hurricane came through, you were doing some stuff for that or I think the Maui thing, you were doing some stuff for.
We gave 10% of all sales for a couple weeks to the Maui.
Yeah, so it's like,
and everything.
And then now with the algorithm and stuff, if you're not posting a lot, you won't see it when you do have something important to post. So maybe people wouldn't have seen the Maui fundraiser if you didn't post, once a day or whatever the case is, you know. But
yeah, and so I think all my friends support me. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'll get like personal messages of like doing a really good job, things like that. Hell, even yesterday, I got a text message from my ex-wife's mom. She was like, "Hey, I saw." She was like, "I saw on TikTok your broken compass page. It looks really professional. You did a really good job." Which I was so shocked just to hear from her, but then having something like that be a positive thing.
Yeah, that's a big compliment.
Yeah. So, I'll get, comments like that, especially if like I have friends from Colorado that come down and they see the shop like full. And I think that's really what it comes down to, because, when you're seeing it from a screen, you don't really know how big it is.
Right.
You don't know how real the entire thing is. I mean, and social media, we can fake anything. We can make a business look more lively than it actually is. And so I think as a society, and just also meaning my friends, they don't really comprehend it in the same way because they haven't seen it. They're just seeing pictures and things like that. They're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it works. But when I have had family or friends come through, they're like, this is so cool. And then they post things because it's like anything, like, even with Iron and Ink, I didn't buy any of Iron and Ink until I actually hung out with Jeff.
Right.
Because at that point I had some kind of a relationship. So that's what I based it off of. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to like your friends and family, seeing things that you're doing. They are proud of you, but they're not really getting the grasp of how big it might be until they see it firsthand. And then they're like, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll support you.
People want to support things that they think are trending in the right direction. So that's why that compliment to me is so huge, because not that she would wish bad on you or anything, but easily could have been like, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But for her
not
to
even gonna
see it, be impressed, and then feel compelled to let me reach out and tell them.
Yeah. I mean,
and that probably made you feel great.
Yeah, way big on her for doing that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think if we as a society realize that 30-second, 10-second text, things like that, it can go so much farther than you think. That's why I reshare people's stuff that doesn't even involve my business or anything. Because it takes me
1 second, and it could go
boom,
a long way for them, and who knows who sees it and everything. Yeah.
I clicked a button, and all my followers who might actually be into that will say, oh yeah, let me check that out. I have a buddy who does car detailing. He ended up like doing my car, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll repost you. Reposted it. And then I had clients that were like, oh, I need my car detailed. So then he was starting the business out. So now he had new business with me doing the bare minimum of helping out.
I mean, it's that easy.
It really is that easy.
Which is awesome.
And I think that in reality, your net worth is going to be your network. That's really what it comes down to. And, you know, we think of net worth as just financial.
Right.
It's not. It's literally everything that involves your life, from friends to financial businesses, anything. Because, you know, people always laugh because, you know, Jeff from Iron and Ink, he'll actually be like, hey, yeah, Nate, he'll be talking to someone, will be like, Nate knows everyone. Nate, do you know someone that could do this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got someone for that. And it's because I've surrounded myself with people that I want my net worth to help raise them and for me. So if I'm hanging out with, you know, losers that are always complaining about their 9-to-5 job, oh, I'm just milking the clock. What kind of value are they giving me for my personal life or business wise? Or just my mental state in general.
Exactly.
And I think that's a huge thing, is you surround yourself with the people who are going to bring you up. I mean, it's a cliche saying that we've all known,
it's a cliche, but it's so true.
Do.
I've always said when I die, I want to be known for living like a cliche. Right. Because I think the cliches, there's so much truth behind them.
Oh yeah.
You know, and especially surrounding yourself. I think the mental is so sensitive. Our brain is so sensitive. And I think that even us being positive people, if we're around negative situations or negative energy, not that we'll turn negative, but we won't be as positive. You know? And I think that's you're not, everything I found is just finding solutions to problems, you know? And so, and especially on the small business side of things, basically, you know, even for you right now, all you're doing is trying to figure out your next solution to the current problem.
Correct.
Right. And so for some people that could be capital, for some people that could be, I need to get more clients. For some people that could be more marketing, more business development. For some people that could just be, I need to allocate more time to this if I want to take it seriously. Right. So what would you say right now is your current problem that you're trying to find a solution to?
So the current problem would definitely be the fact that now that I took myself out of the shop, working behind the chair as many days as I was, that's a huge amount of money that I bring into the shop. And I'm not saying that as a patting myself on the back.
No, it's
just I have the clientele. And you know, I put most of it back into the business because that's the only way you're going to succeed. If you start like saying, "Oh, I'm making all this money from all my employees. I'm going to just take it all."
Be the last time you make that money.
Yeah,
that's the one time make that money.
Yep, that's exactly exactly right. So you have to strategically plan your finances. So now that like I have to start looking back of, okay, well, the reason I could pay myself this much of all the money that I make plus these guys, I can't do that anymore. I have to take a step back because I'm now not working that much. I have other employees that are going to have to kind of help rebuild that, if not more, because I'm not taking the entire percentage of it. So now my biggest, like, you know, quote unquote problem that I'm trying to kind of work on and figure out what's next and how to solve it is, okay, what am I doing in the 3 days that I'm not working now? What do I need to do to get myself back up to here? You know, if I'm just, oh, sweet, I have 3 days off, I'm a business owner, I can go to the pool, I can do this. Yeah, that's cool. No,
we're gonna plateau at best.
Yeah, you're gonna eventually, like, you're gonna have fun, and then now you're not making the money that you were used to making. Now your stress is actually even higher up because you're not making the money.
You might be forced to go backwards, and that's gonna mess you up mentally because now you were trending in the right direction, you know.
And then and then as humans, we don't want people to see us fail, even though failure is a part of life. if there's one thing that I can take from the there's a guy named Bobby Bones. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Bobby Bones,
you know, he has a book that's called Fail Until You Don't, Fight, Grind, and Repeat. There's no problem failing. It's how you respond to the failure. That's the big thing.
Yep.
But as a human, we don't want to look like we failed.
Especially with the social media world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Majorly.
Like,
so
I can't post this.
If I had to go back to working, you know, all the days, people aren't going to realize what the back end of reasoning why I'm doing that.
Yep.
They just see, oh, well, clearly it didn't work out, so he kind of failed.
Right.
And that's their negative.
And it's even worse now because right now it's all optics, right? And so for right now, they're like, oh, Nate owns a barbershop. He's doing way better than he was ever. Right. And maybe you are. Yeah. Right? That could still be true, but that doesn't mean that you're not fighting, you know, the next, you know, problem that you're trying to solve, or you're not, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and so yeah, the next problem that I'm trying to solve is how to, and it's kind of what I told you. Oh, actually, I don't know if we were recording at the time, but basically, you know, what do I need to do to put more income into the business and my pocket,
right?
For the 3 days that I'm now taking off, which means I have to solve the problem of where's the next location going to be? Yep. How do I get the money for that? And dealing with all of those things, which is not as like easy of like, oh, this is on my planner today and this is on my planner for tomorrow, and then we'll be set. No,
yeah, exactly.
Because then you're weeks out because you might have to hear back from the loan officer, or, you know, you got the loan and now you're like, I want this place. And, you know, there's a pending, you know, application on there. So there's so many different things that, you know, you're losing money, you're losing time. And if you're not careful,
short term. And hopefully the better, you know, the better.
Correct. And I think that's a biggest thing of,
it's a risk.
It's
a big risk.
And there's, you know, I've been asked when I've been at the gym and everything, you know, there was this maybe 16-year-old kid who he was working out. He was doing a workout that was so screwed up. Like, I mean, he was
like form wise or whatever.
Form wise, he was just gonna end up hurting himself. And so I kind of stopped. I was like, hey man, maybe try it this way. And then we start talking, and he's like, oh, why'd you get into working out? I was like, because I'm a short guy and I need to not look like a short small dude, so I'm gonna be like a short big dude. And
you're like, I got a big, you know, 250 lifted truck. It's just
right. And you know, his reasoning was, you know, because someone had just dumped him. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever your reasoning is, go to the max. And then, so I get done with him and everything, and then like maybe 2 minutes later, because I had mentioned that I had owned a barbershop and everything. So he was like, well, he comes back over and he's like, hey, what's something that you can give me as a 16-year-old to kind of go into that world of being a business owner? I was like, and I could be completely wrong about this, but in my eyes, when it comes to entrepreneurship, you either have it or you don't. I think there's a lot of people that want to do it. They want to own a business, but they're not willing to take the risk. And if they are, they just don't know how to actually, they get scared the moment. Like if I would have just closed shop after 2 months because I was having 3 clients a day, that would be where I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur, because I'm not willing to see it all the way until it is buried into the ground. And that's where I think a lot of people differ. And it's like stocks. I mean, you can't buy and sell off of emotion. You have to just keep going the course. And it's
because you don't know, you're not even giving yourself a chance, right? Because even in stocks or people when they go gamble, I've always said just be consistent with whatever your plan was going into it. So if you're trading, stick to your trade plan that you studied the night before, the morning of, right? If you're gambling, if you're playing blackjack and you're playing $50 hands, always pay $50 hands, right? I'm not talking about when you split it or double down or whatever, but excluding that, when you start winning, okay, let's go to $100 hands so I can win quicker. Well, now the whole point of gambling and saying and trading stocks is to stay in the game. The whole goal of being an entrepreneur is to stay in the game, right? And so no,
it's like the rabbit and the tortoise,
right?
I mean, if you're trying to get to the finish line before you've actually figured out the entire setup of the race,
right,
then you're going to be screwed.
Yep.
The tortoise, he took his time.
Yep.
He contemplated every move. And it's the same thing with business.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to realize it's going to suck. I'm not anywhere close to being stable, and I won't be for a long time.
Right. Because even if you make money, you're going to put it back into your business. So.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if your business could be, I mean, hell, look at any of the big corporations that I mean, God, look at Bud Light.
Yeah.
They screwed themselves with the marketing that they did. And they're a huge corporation, but they significantly damaged their entire platform. And so you're never satisfied to be like, oh, we're good.
Right.
You're never going to
you never know what's going to come around the corner.
Right. And so you have to just maintain the course, like you said. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You never be satisfied with where you're at, because the moment that you feel like you're satisfied, you're not wanting to
start plateauing.
grow. Yeah, you're not going to want to grow. And the whole point is to grow until you're at a point where someone else can run everything. You can live off of a financial
residual
standpoint that like works for you and your family. And then that's, I mean, one of my, both my investors, one was in the car business. He got out of it because he was at that point where he could venture off and do different things, not working at all, but he has his money in different areas to continue making him enough to maintain his life. The other guy, he was in the mortgage business for a long time, and then he ended up investing in a great company that now he's worth millions of dollars, and he doesn't work. And he's always like, I'm not retired because, I don't have a 401k or a pension or anything. I just made millions of dollars off of an investment. And so I just kind of do my own thing. But even him, I was talking to him earlier today, and, he was like, I might have to get more hands-on with the company that I invested in, because there's things that I'm not liking that are being done. And not like something he wants to do, but he knows that he needs to be done. Do it.
Hey, it's like a GM that's working at a restaurant. Sometimes they got to run expo. Sometimes they got to go back in the kitchen and drop fries, whatever it is. It's just, I think that's the difference between a manager and a leader, right?
Yeah.
A manager tells you what to do, and a leader shows you how it's done.
Right.
Right. And, that's just part of it. Right. And
you got to be humble.
Like, you got to be humble, because it could end tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anything could end tomorrow, whether it's your life 100%. Or your business or something. And, I mean, being humble is the cornerstone of success, I think.
The moment that you start to get too cocky in the business world, where you think that you're deserved, or like I could say, well, I'm deserved these 3 days off because I work 6 days a week for a year and a half. No one else has done that. I'm the one that's grown this. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's your business. You should have been doing that.
Exactly. Like, okay, cool. So yeah, I got this business. I'm now able to give other people a platform to work off of, which that's where I build my success.
Right.
Is the fact that they're becoming successful. And in the end, I want to take a step back from being in front of the camera all that much, because I want to be able to see the behind the scenes stuff. And I think like I said, being humble is the biggest thing when it comes down to it, because if you're not humble, everyone can see it.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anyone.
Yeah.
If you think you're too good to go and do something in your own business.
Yeah. How can you expect an employee to do something?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's your business.
I mean, I told the crew at the shop that now that I'm off 3 days a week, I'm not going to always need to be behind a computer doing something. So I'll be at the front desk checking people out. I'll be going and cleaning the bathroom. I'll be doing all the stuff to make the shop look good.
Right.
And I just told them, I was like, I'll be the highest paid janitor out there.
Hey, that's part of it, though. That's
right.
Good.
And I could say, well, no, you guys, you're the ones that are using that. I'm not using it. And that's part of your job. No, I'm not going to be like that. Like, I want them to focus on what's making them better. And when it comes time to, you know, where they have to branch out and do the things that I'm doing, then great. But until then, get them to where they are succeeding in that one thing.
Yeah.
I've already, I wouldn't even say succeeded. I've gotten to a point where I'm able to branch out and do so many different things, which has been great.
Another idea for the barbershop expansion is finding barbers that have a good book of business, which sounds, you know, obvious.
Right.
But almost like, listen, you have a large book of business. You've been doing this for a while. I'm sure you want to start a shop. There's a lot of logistics. Again, they may not have it. Right. They may not be that entrepreneur. They may not have that business acumen. They may not have the gut for the risk. They might have a family at home where they can't have 3 clients a day because they have a new location and they're spread thin, cleaning bathrooms and looking at the computer, right?
Yeah.
So I think finding there's a lot of those people out there, finding those people to collab with and say, listen, it's going to be my barbershop, but I kind of want it to be yours too, in a sense. Right. Not from an equity perspective, but maybe, you know,
feel like you have some kind of ownership to making the place look good.
Yeah.
And actually it's funny you say that because I have a new employee that started probably about a month ago, and he was killing it at his last salon. So he did men's hair at a salon. I mean, just killing it, making
I think you told me a little bit about him.
Yeah, well over $100,000 a year. And you know, he was like, all right, I'm ready to leave where I'm at, go on my own. So now he's paying booth rental and he's making a ton of money. I mean, just so I look at him like, damn, I wish I could make that.
Yeah.
But he has a clientele. He treats the clientele like they are his clients for the shop. Because and that's I think the biggest thing when it comes to barbershops is it's just another one. Like you go to somewhere like Sports Clips or Supercuts or something like that. You're just a person to cut the hair and get out of the chair.
Yeah, if they're going to those places.
Yeah, I mean that is literally their entire platform is get as many cuts in, as many cuts out. Not about the quality of or the relationship that you're building with someone.
Well, when people are paying $10 for a haircut, they should know what they're walking in. At that point, I don't even know why you pay for a haircut.
Oh, God,
I'm not even, I know everyone has different money situations, but at that point, I mean, I would probably just buy my own stuff and
I mean, it's crazy how many times we've had people that have come in right after a cut from like one of those places and them end up being like, they screwed up my hair. Can you fix it? And so they're paying more at this point.
Yeah.
They're paying an extra like amount of money that they never were planning on doing because they went somewhere to go and
go cheap, pay twice.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right, man.
So lastly here, we talked about a few different things and we're going to have you on again, I know I talk a lot. You talk a lot.
Yeah.
We have so many other things we could talk about. But we'll minimally have you back on after the competition, maybe before. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I mean, I feel like a lot of times as we get older, we realize we're really just chasing purpose, right? We want to have a life that's full of purpose and, do some good along the way as well. But from your perspective, I mean, what are you chasing from a purpose perspective, and what is success? Are you?
That's an amazing question. That's a great question. My purpose and what I define as success for myself. My purpose would be, my purpose is honestly just to help out as much as possible in the world. I grew up doing a lot of outreach stuff. My grandfather was a world-renowned pastor and missionary, and my parents were heavily involved in the church. And while at this point in time, I don't, go with religion or anything like that, I do see the benefit to being a great human to everyone else. You know, I want to get to a point where all I'm doing is just giving money out, or time out. You know, one of the things that I really want to do is I want to shut down the shop for a day and have, like, on a Saturday, and have tons of foster kids come through and give free haircuts. Because what kind of haircuts are they getting? Either at home or going to Supercuts. And so they're not getting the cool cuts that they feel good in. They're already being jerked around all these different spots. Then you know, they have nothing. And so I think that it's one of those things where I want to be able to have a purpose of being able to give time or money to whatever it is. My success, along the same lines. Success, I don't define as,
you could argue you're already
money.
Successful now.
Yeah, I'd say I'm extremely successful because.
But the purpose is always like a work in progress, right? Because you're like
absolutely
aiming for a higher purpose, or to reach more people. Whatever.
My purpose is not to be like, I want to be you know, retired by 40 years old so I can go and travel. Yeah, would that be cool? Absolutely. Sure. And I do want to do that, and I plan on doing that. But that's not what my life is meant for. My life is meant for being able to do something that someone else might not be able to do. My employees, they love what I'm doing, and they've said, I just could never see myself doing it. Like,
thanks a lot.
And you know, I'm no better than them. They're great at things that I'm never going to be as good as them in. But my purpose is to open shops of any kind, be an entrepreneur that can make enough revenue so that way I can help the world out. Which, you know, anyone listening to this, they're like, oh, fuck that guy. Like, he's just trying to get on people's, you know, good side and pull their heartstrings. Yes. No. But it's true. Like, because I like I said, I grew up in the outreach world. So
same for me.
So I don't feel, if I'm not doing anything and I have all this money, I feel like a piece of shit. Because what am I doing with it? I'm buying the latest stuff. Cool. Okay. Well, that's not going to make me feel good. That's why, you know, I wanted to give, you know, 10% of all the sales to the Maui fire, because I had friends that were over there, you know, last year for the hurricane that hit Fort Myers. I gave anyone who was a first responder to the Fort Myers hurricane, or anyone affected by it, free haircut for 2 months.
That's huge.
And it's, you know, it's those kind of things that I want to always be able to do, and not be like, oh, I don't have the funds for making that happen. I want to be able to have that ability to, which can only lead to success.
That's why it's a fun topic to talk about, because, you know, I agree, money isn't, I don't think money equates to success, you know, and money isn't everything, right? But it can take care of things that are.
Correct.
Right. It takes care of things that are everything to you. So
it doesn't make you happy, but it gives you the ability to help.
Right. So
in whatever way that means.
No, that's awesome, dude. And I mean, you're already doing it. I see you. I mean, this is just the start. You know, I think that's what's cool about it is, you know, 18 months ago, you would have been like, man, I would love to be where you're at right now.
Right.
And these next 18 months, I mean, you're going to be lean and strong, and hopefully on the way to the second shop. So that's awesome. So before we get out of here, anything you want to promote? I know obviously Broken Compass Barber Shop.
Broken Compass Barber Shop, Clearwater, Florida. It's not really Clearwater, it's more St. Pete, but Clearwater, Florida, Broken Compass Barber. Definitely Iron and Ink Clothing. If you like clothing, if you like tattoos and everything, he's got that shirt on. But that's also, you know, which this is one of those strange things that like I would do. But if you can't make it over to our shop, I have some friends that own a shop in the downtown St. Pete area as well, called Black Sail Barber Studio. So if you can't ever get in touch with us, go over there, check them out. Man, this stuff is amazing. Your
lightning hydration. Shout out to Gabe. I'm telling you,
great stuff.
I know every guest that comes on here, we're pushing lightning. Got some product placement right there, but no, I mean, it's good stuff. It's honestly, I hate describing it this way because it's technically a competitor.
Yeah.
But Liquid IV is the only way to like explain to people what it is. Like, for me at least, I mean, Gabe explains it really nicely. But yeah, man, there's so many. I think there's 4 different flavors right now.
Which one is this? I have
this
terrible
one
taste, so I don't actually know. Raspberry?
I think it's mixed berry. I think that one's
Close
a mixed
enough.
berry. Yeah, so there's definitely some raspberries in there. But no, it's good. They have a dope website that just came out about a month ago, and then you can buy them on the website or Amazon.
Cool.
And yeah, man, it's a life changer, especially again for a workout. I mean, you should see. I mean, I'll give you a bag, and let me know, while you're training. I know it. Again, I don't want to misquote it, so I'll send you all the health nutrients and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But
I'll promote it.
Yeah, Lightning's and it's crazy. Gabe's I wanted you to meet him at some point because he's very similar to you. He's into fitness. He actually has like a separate kind of fitness business that he does as well, which kind of coincides with why he came up with this product. And he also is into tattoos and helping out and very entrepreneurial. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, the hope is at some point to kind of get everyone that's on this podcast through the year together for like an end of the year type of thing.
Be sweet,
because it's just a bunch of entrepreneurs just trying to do their best, trying to make their mark in this world, and it's obviously a lot easier to go farther together. So again, another cliche, but they work. But hey, man, I appreciate you stopping by, being one of the first few guests.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep iron sharpens iron, and yeah, man, just excited for everything you've done, and you motivate me, like I said.
Thanks,
so
I appreciate coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's always fun with you.
Hey, let's go. Till next time, man.
I'm feeling alive.